Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode, if you will, of PoplarViews. We're excited to be back. We bring my friend Shelley Koebel all the way from Andromeda Coffee in Jasper, Alberta. Welcome to the show, Shelley. Thank you for coming on, and let's get at it. How are you today?
I'm good, Tim. Thanks for having me.
I thought it would be really a great just conversation about life in Jasper, business in Jasper. You and I have had some back and forth since the summer with regard, obviously, to the disaster, but also to just the reconstruction and just the rebirth, if you will, of business and life in general in the community. And I thought we could chat about that for a little bit here. How's it been going for you?
It's kind of a roller coaster. There's sometimes it feels like there's lots going on, and sometimes it feels like there's not a lot going on.
Okay.
We're hanging on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are the people coming back?
So when it was so interesting when we returned, and the parks and the municipality were saying publicly that it was mostly for locals to return. But we had so many visitors that were unaware whether they're from the traveling from overseas, they're partway through their vacation. So we were in a situation, especially in the laundry, because that's what opened first for us, where we would see the visitors come in and they'd be a little bit shell shocked. And there's kind of a protectionism for the community, and people are like, why are they here? And I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah, I could
Yeah.
see that maybe being an organic reaction. Like
Yeah.
this is a traumatic event. So let's just talk about that for a sec. I mean, this is a lot. And I mean, I've been through personally like natural disasters, flooding in Manitoba, and it's slow motion. Whereas this was just like bam on you. And now I could see how people would be like, are these looky-loos? Are they,
Yeah.
is that what I'm catching there?
There was sincere travelers,
Yeah.
I would say. Maybe about a month into the return, we would see more looky-loos.
Okay.
Our house is the only house standing on the block.
Oh my.
Yeah, and then further down the street, the fire stopped just before our home. And so we would see, we're in the red zone, it's called. So
Okay.
there's signage into the red zone about disaster recovery locals only. And you'd see a little bit. I'd be standing in my living room window and a car would drive by with their camera out. So I would just wave.
Yeah. Oh, well, good for, yeah. And you have you do have that spirit. I could see you doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's yeah. I mean, people are curious by nature. They do want to see, and at the end of the day, I think that I'm kind of hitting it there. It is a bit of a trauma for your community, and I think that's part of what we want to try and do here today is help maybe uncover a bit of that a little, and the
Yeah.
realities of that, and the realities of going forward. In some ways, I would imagine that this has brought the community tighter. Is that a fair question?
It is a fair question. There's a lot of local support, and we have people who are living in hotels. We have hoteliers who've opened up their accommodations for locals. Uh, People are trying to fit people into their homes, and they really want things to feel better. So it's very
Yeah.
resilient, strong community that way.
What a great word.
Yeah. And we're starting to do things now that we would normally do. Like we've started our waffle Sundays in the coffee shop. We've had a community dinner. So we're
Oh,
trying,
that's nice.
yeah, Christmas markets are starting. So people are trying to do these things, even though everything is a little bit diminished.
Yeah, I bet. So, I imagine. I mean, I haven't seen a ton of footage and/or I've seen some, but I've also tried to not. I haven't really sought it out as much as I thought I might. Like being on this side of things, and we, like I shared with you that prior to coming on here, we when this happened, Jasper is such an important place to so many people for so many of those their own reasons.
Mhm.
And for all of us involved in Poplar, like this really hit us all in our own way. And when, as an independent media outlet and the way things are done on social now, and everybody seems to latch on to all kinds of things at times, we didn't want it to appear that we were trying to springboard from it, if you will. We wanted to
Mhm.
just organically say, this has traumatically hit us. We're not present. We need to do something, and just here's a few things, and open the door to Jasper. The offer still stands, by the way. So anyone in your circle, business community, we're going to shout you out in the next issue. I'm going to continue to put a dramata. And if you want to change things up for the next issue, just let me know. But we want to give away just stage time, if you will. So that was our attitude when we kind of had our issue meeting. Deanna helps me a lot with my wife, with the magazine, and I said, I think we need to, like, and when I had the photo, I took that photo when we were up visiting of the totem, and I was like, I think this is our cover. And then of course Nick Carter wrote such an incredible column, that I thought was just so well done, and the feedback I've gotten on that column is the like it's really powerful. Um, we, we just wanted to be the people that were part of the solution in some capacity, right? So it's really heartwarming to hear that people are that use the word resilience,
Mhm.
and it's times like this that you find that in the self, right? And
Yes.
when communities get rocked by whatever it is, this is when you come together, right? So it's really nice to hear.
Yeah. We've used the word resilience a lot over the last few years. It was part of the COVID and the word
Right,
pivot. And then we had the Chetamon fire, and that was another rebound.
right,
And so you had used the word rebirth at the beginning. And when I was part of the Alberta International Business Competition, so
hmm,
the teams had those similar words like rebirth, reborn, rebuild. So it's kind of nice to have, and hope was a big word that we heard. So it's good to have that other words because it's such a big community, and
yeah,
it's good. And while we were away, we received so many emails, texts, social media messages from people saying very similar to you and what Jasper meant to them, or that they had just visited and they wished us well. And our community here in Jasper, while we cater to international visitors, it's our local community, which we consider Alberta, BC, Grand Prairie, Edmonton,
right.
has been incredibly um, kind. That's probably not the right word.
Empathetic.
Yes, and they've come to see us, and they've made a point to come and get coffee or just to say hello. So our that broader community is part of Jasper. It will never not be part of Jasper.
That's awesome. That's really incredible. And where do you think things are at? Like, is it still in an evaluation stage with the where the rebuilds required? I'll say it gently. Like, is that still under evaluation, or because I know there's a period, there's like steps, and so where would they be at with that?
So we're in the rebuild phase,
You
and
are, so you're into action.
just just recently,
Well, but that's great.
it is great. So in my neighborhood, there's probably 4 lots that are being cleared right now,
Okay.
out of 300 lots. So it's a start. There's some real positive things in that the Alberta government is building 2 areas where they're going to put temporary housing. And what else
Wow.
is really happening? Oh, Parks Canada and the municipality have come up with a newer or building. We call it the architectural motif,
Okay.
and the building regulations. So that's been updated a little bit. So there's
Okay.
been
Well,
some positives.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing with I mean with all everything that ever happens, right? Like I'm
Mhm.
sure we can all say like if everybody watching or yourself like every challenge, I mean COVID, I mean how hard was that on businesses for crying out
Yeah.
loud? It's like when I look back on my own life, like things find a way.
Yeah.
Things find a way, right? And you're faced with I mean it is an astronomical task there, and it's when this is when the spirit, the will comes
Mhm.
forward, right? And that's what I've noticed, those patterns. And I imagine that's been a big deal in the community.
It is, and we have like lots of people really pushing to get things going. So some of the major apartment blocks have had their lots cleared, which is big. So they're ready to get going.
Wow.
The two hotels that burnt down, the Decor and the Mount Robson, have had their lots are being cleared. The L&W, the Gus's Blahos main restaurant has been cleared. And across the street from us, there was the drugstore and the bank. Those have been totally cleared.
Right.
So it doesn't look as forlorn, maybe.
Yeah, I don't, and it's shocking. Like there's action.
Hmm.
Wonderful. So, I mean, this is must have been also challenging because you're a long-standing, isn't this, you're born and raised here or in the area? Correct me if I'm wrong. Like
Yeah.
before the coffee shop, you were involved in media. You had with a newspaper, correct?
Yes, in like 2005, we
Wow,
had start. I think that was the year I started the Fitzhugh newspaper with four other friends.
that's awesome.
Yeah, and it was kind of to bring more of the community voice to Jasper. So when we opened that, we hired some top-notch young, youthful writers,
Yeah.
and we did a lot of community profiles. And it was nice to present our community in that way.
Well, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. Like I've
Mhm.
always said, like one of the things that I think is missing from modern media is like, do you remember back in television before things became I don't know what you want to say, but it seems a bit more controlled and it seems a bit more influenced, right?
Mhm.
And it really, I mean, I guess that is life. We all have a boss we answer to, but television really changed when independent television left, community
Mhm.
television left. Like who's doing a community anything anymore? When you look at like if you look in Alberta, that you had A channel. And
Oh
A
yeah,
channel used to be very, and before that, it was always like, there would be commercials for that crazy guy selling sofas or what have you, right?
yeah,
But it was grassroots. And I really feel like that's what my goal is. I call this my retirement gig. And I want to do that. And I want to do that with this show and with the magazine. And I'd love to do that with like commercial advertising. It's a very tough sell because people can't see it because a lot of the people I'm trying to communicate it to don't know what I'm talking about because they
yeah.
didn't come up in it. So we'll get there. It's an obstacle, not a big deal. But you nailed it. Like I think that's really interesting about I think the connection I felt with you when I learned that was that I felt like you got me. Like you
Hmm.
got what I was doing. You seemed to take, there was like a vibe. Like you were like, what is this guy doing with this? This
Yeah.
is interesting. That was what I caught. So I think when we connected so quickly, obviously when this happened, this I was like impacted because of my connection to Jasper, but also my connection to you, the coffee shop, the coin laundry, everything that you were doing and had shared. Um, how's that helped like you with your role in the community? Like is that a convoluted question, but I think it's a valuable question because it seems like you've had a foothold for a long time.
Yes, and what is unique about our businesses is that we get to know our customers so well and that we've been doing it for so long. So when we have like customers in the laundry who maybe live in the United States, but they come every year. Like
Yeah.
we have a couple from Florida and we see them every year. And then so we have this insight into people and what it is that they why they come to Jasper and what they want to do. And we've made friends, so many friends along the way. And I think that allows us to see and understand what the processes are going to be, what the challenges are going to be, and maybe not get too uptight about it, even though we do get uptight.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. That's a really interesting
Yeah.
perspective. And I imagine that like you kind of have that you have that spirit about you, but I think it also I did my homework. I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but you not in education?
I was an elementary school teacher from
Yes, I knew
graduated from
that.
U of A. Yeah.
I knew that. I found that out all on my own, honest. But I
Um,
did learn that about you, and because I mean, I like to always do background on people when I'm going to talk with them, and um, I thought about that, and I thought when I discovered that, I immediately was like, wow, well, no wonder. Like things are starting to make sense about this character, this person. So to me, that said, there's two words that popped into mind that probably are key characteristics of your strong suits: patience,
mhm.
patience, and planning.
Yes.
Am I right?
You nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So how
And
do? Sorry.
how to go through a process, right? How to initiate something, like how to tie a shoe, right? It's a process. And it takes lots of practice.
Well, and
So,
that's what you're doing again
yes,
as a community. Like when
yes,
if you're
exactly.
flattening a lot, you're learning to tie the shoe.
Hmm.
Wow. Wow. So from it all though, like how has it changed you?
Um, it's getting, I realize it's getting harder, like as I get older. I
Okay.
like all these multitude of events are getting a little bit harder. And I realize I'm getting older, which no one wants to admit to. And
Amen.
I realize too that I have the entrepreneurial spirit in me, along with my husband, Sam, and that we're very focused on that. And I think it allows us to do things maybe with not as much emotion, or that might not be the right word, but
No, I think I
with
can understand
strength.
that.
Yeah. That we know that we can do it because we've done it before.
Yes.
We've built up our businesses, we can build them up again. And
Hmm.
and we can connect with the people that will help us do that.
Hmm. That's a very interesting thing. I guess it speaks to sort of cognitive development a bit. I talk about that a lot, and I think that's an important thing for people to know what in a way that is. And I'm by no means am I an expert on the subject. I'm not a psychologist, but I do think there's something you just said there. Like I think what you said eloquently, and I wouldn't have said it as eloquently, is like your tolerance for bullshit is just a lot. Let's cut to the chase. Am I wrong? There's a human side to that, and I think you're right. Like I'm heading for 50. I can't believe I'm saying it because I
Yeah.
still see myself like you know. I was telling the guys at work. I have a day job. I run a shop in the energy business. We rebuild gas turbine engines, and I've got young ones. I got young staff, and I've got older guys too. But I tell them I still see myself as like what they used to call me in the old neighborhood. I was the smallest of the family.
Yeah.
Now I'm the biggest. Like, and you go for you start to head. I can't believe it. You get to a point where you're just like, and you've been through so many of these journeys that okay, we're doing this now. I
Yes.
love how you said that, like the removal of emotion. Like, yeah, all right, okay. So what's the first step? What do we do?
Yeah.
Okay, we know what to do. We're doing that. I love it. How about Sam? How is that? Is that I mean, I would imagine. I mean, it's probably difficult. My vibe from you was that like you're very much like Deanna and I necessarily couldn't confidently entirely speak for her. Wouldn't dare, but uh, I'd imagine just watching your partner go through um, this together with the business and just with the community. Uh,
Well, we're unfortunate that he lost his workshop. So behind our home.
Oh my.
And yeah, and that was his place to be.
Oh.
He has tools from his grandfather
Oh
and
my gosh.
father's tools, his welding, where he lived his life when he wasn't at work.
Oh
So
my gosh.
he's very displaced in that way, and
Oh
that's
my gosh. I feel like
yeah,
my heart is crushing because I have a shop. I
yes,
didn't know that about Sam. I think I saw him for a moment when we met
yeah,
and chatted, and I did not realize that. And as a tradesperson, that hits me hard. Wow, I'm so
yeah.
sorry for him.
So this morning it's snowing today, or it's stopping now, so which is a good thing, I think, to have some snow. But he couldn't find the shovel because it's melted. He couldn't find his work boots because they're melted. The scraper for the car was in the garage. So it just kind of sets you off on a path,
Triggers.
yeah, for your day. You're kind of like, ooh, this is crummy.
Ah,
Yes. So we're
okay.
both missing his workshop.
I've asked the big question. I didn't realize. I just wanted to include, and I wanted to,
Yeah.
my interview style is very conversationalist, and
Yeah.
we are doing that. And I just learned something. And I mean, I'm looking over. I am in my studio space here. I have like screwdrivers sitting right there that my father and my grandfathers gave me, and I leave them by my desk
Yes.
as a reminder.
Yes.
So that's why when I looked that way, I looked right at those, and my heart melted because my gosh, can I ever relate to Sam?
Hmm.
Yes. I will send you some photos after our interview of my space, and
Yes.
if you like. Um, so let's we've talked about life sort of after the fire and where's it at, and I think we've really hit a lot of um spots I didn't think we would, but this is why I think my style's good because I do manage to get emotion from things, and I think we got that. Um, Do you think this year's ski season is going to help? Do you think that crowd will be coming?
I think they will. We're a little bit late, and well, no, it's not late. When I grew up, sometimes you didn't get the ski hill open till Christmas time, but now we have snowmaking. So it's starting and they're opening on Friday.
Okay,
And what we really notice about ski season is, well, our business night might not, we get some of the morning coffee or the families that don't want to go skiing that day. But what's really important to us is the team members that work in the ski industry. They're the ones that help us be sustainable throughout the winter. They're the ones that come and drink coffee on their days off or tell their customers that we exist.
right.
So I think it will be helpful. And I think people want to see what it looks like because you're probably going to
Absolutely.
have an amazing view from the ski hill of the valley.
Wow. Yeah, I
So
bet. Well,
that now,
there's some fingers crossed because I know we were up last year for Christmas and
oh,
I couldn't believe it. Like it was just the weirdest year, right? It was so I mean, it looked like fall.
yeah, I think it was our worst ski season in a long
Yeah,
time.
I bet it was. I remember there was a lot of commentary about it, and everywhere we went, people were pretty happy to see us.
Yes.
So fingers crossed for that. What about you were sharing with me that you've been involved with a business. This business, is it a contest? Sorry,
Yeah, it's called the Alberta International Business
I'm just
Competition.
looking at this, the business competition. So what's your role in that?
Well, this is so cool. Like a couple years ago, they always host this in November through the University of Alberta Business School,
Okay,
and the roads were terrible and it was cold and awful. So some of the judges from Edmonton couldn't attend. So the committee went around and um, they were referred to me and they asked me to be a judge. So I was able to become a judge for that. And my
wow,
first case competition was the Edmonton Elks. That was one of the cases.
really,
So this competition was started actually by a local Jasper student who was at U of A like 20 years ago.
really,
So There's been Sundog Tours was one of the first comp, case studies. And then this year, the school wanted to give back to Jasper. So they asked me if we would be their short 6 hour case study. And normally this is something that I would pay for or sponsor. So they did this complimentary, and it was the best experience. Like, just so cool to work with the students in that way.
Wow. Yeah, I had a quick I did have a quick look through the material that you offered, and the board is really it's all students I'm gathering.
It is. It's
Well, I was
student,
very impressed.
yeah, student led. And I worked with one of the chairs, Maddie is her name.
Okay.
And so she requested information from me, and she built this whole case study. It was, looking at competitors, looking at what's been going on, and what we were trying to solve, because there's like probably 3 or 4 problems right now for businesses. Staffing and housing is number one.
Staffing, sure.
Because Jasper businesses often house their staff due to lack of housing. We went from 15 staff to about 7 after the fire.
Okay.
And then come summer, we know the housing will be very tight. So some of our permanent staff have moved into our staff house, which we usually use for seasonal team members.
So
And
your business has staff housing.
we do. We have,
Wow.
yeah, a few units. And the housing that the community is building is for essential workers. And one of the issues in Jasper is that essential workers don't include tourism and hospitality staff, which is something that Jasper is going to go through some major changes. CN Rail is moving out.
I heard that.
Yeah, and we have a municipality that has kind of kept an arm's length from business, because business in Jasper is fairly independent. We have some good organizations that, like Chamber of Commerce and the Tourism Jasper,
Okay.
but they don't always understand business needs. So housing and staffing is going to be an issue for this summer. Another issue is tourism is probably going to be fairly high in demand. There's lots of promotions going on. Tourism, Jasper, Tourism Alberta, and Tourism Canada are all planning promotions for Jasper next year. So we have these issues, and the case study was trying to help our business plan for these. Staffing without burnout, alternatives to housing perhaps, and keeping our unique identity as a business while rebuilding the community.
Ooh,
So yeah, we had 14 teams, I believe, 12 to 14 teams present on how to solve some of those issues.
wow.
Yeah.
So while all of these sort of, I hate to say ground zero community issues are happening, you're doing this as well. Like,
Yes.
yes, so I think we now have an answer to earlier that you're tired.
Yeah.
Hmm. Like, are those kids keeping up? Like
Yeah.
you're going hard there. That's amazing. So that's like quite a interesting full circle thing to have happen when you consider that this competition was started by a Jasper student at 20 years ago, and it's now come full circle, it's come back for you. Um, in the big picture, how do you think that's going to influence the decision making? Like you mentioned how like maybe some of these groups there, and I know what you're talking about. I hear that from a lot of community members, business community members in
Mhm.
municipalities all over the province. We see that here in Airdrie as well, where like sometimes these groups are very well intentioned, but they don't entirely encapsulate the issues that are in front of everybody because for various reasons. I find chambers are generally attached to the municipal government, right?
Not so much here.
No? Oh, okay.
No. Um, more definitely arm's length and more about advocacy.
Okay.
And Tourism Jasper is representative of the tourism industry, and they consult with the municipality, but I we don't have a great, that might not be the word. It's everyone acts pretty independently.
Is that right? Well, that's maybe a good thing, but
I think
I
it will
guess
be.
I'm sorry.
I think it will be going into this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is this process complete or is it ongoing?
It's ongoing. The municipality has hired, I was very much advocating for business when we returned, and I wrote a very straightforward letter to the municipality about the need to have a business liaison person on the recovery team that they have,
Okay.
because they were very focused on social issues, which are important, and on the governance issues. But we also need to look at businesses, because across the street, 20 over around 20 businesses are gone,
Yeah.
destroyed. Buildings are gone, or the building's destroyed. And people come to Jasper not just to get coffee at the same places. They want to make a loop of it, right? Like
Yeah.
our customers are missing Wicked Cup, they're missing Sun House. And I'm very concerned about the rebuild and if our small businesses and mom and pop shops will come back. It's a big thing
Wow.
that makes
So yeah, I
Jasper
mean,
unique.
I'm just really been that's a very, very so huh. What a powerful statement. Like, because what would fill in its place then,
Right.
right?
And in the
So that
last few
would be a
years,
fear point,
yeah,
right?
you've probably noticed in the last few years we have more franchises than we've had before.
Yeah. So,
And
and that's
they're,
always been the thing about Jasper is that it wasn't a commercialized band.
no,
Am I right?
you are right. And I'd like
Interesting.
to
So
keep
this
it
is an
that way.
opportunity. There could also be you could also word it and or present it and or advertise and market it as Jasper is the new opportunity
Yeah.
for people just like you.
Hmm.
So how does somebody, if they wanted to participate in the business community or wanted to, like, what kind of how could someone have opportunity today?
That's really interesting because we have some really strong organizations, and also the municipality is in process of hiring a business liaison person. So, and it's complicated because we have three levels, well, two levels of government for business licensing. But we also have the Chamber of Commerce. We have a new executive director on the Chamber of Commerce who's very um, knowledgeable about process. We also have another organization called Community Futures West Yellowhead. And my very good friend Nancy Robbins is the executive director of that. They really help small businesses uh, find a way forward. So whether it's creating a business plan or communicating with potential commercial spaces, they're a good opportunity um, to utilize.
Hmm.
And it's a small town, so it's, walking around and talking to people, you can always find out kind of what's going on and what might be available. So,
So what's missing, I guess, if somebody were to with the entrepreneurial spirit, like what would be things that would add value to the business community and to the not just the community but the visitors.
right. I think people are really looking for experience-based travel. So anything that's around experiences. We have great tour operators in town, and Sundog is an amazing company. They're doing wildlife tours with a focus on fire. When we had the motorcycle shop across the street from us that took people on tours, we're just hoping they come back because they had such a great element to opportunities for people.
Hmm.
So and experience-based businesses are always welcome in Jasper and appreciated by visitors, especially if they can do a few things while they're downtown, whether they have a coffee, which tastes amazing at our place,
Oh, and
or
it does. I can tell you that.
or they find a tour operator to go on a hike and then come for a nice dinner. So anything experience-based, I would say.
Wonderful. How about construction and or like actual trades?
Yes, that is always an issue here. And because half, probably, so the, I think 300 units were burnt in town,
Yeah.
but a lot of the town that was destroyed was high density housing. So our apartments, the houses with the zero lot lines that had suites, a lot of our housing, the housing that was destroyed represents probably at least half of the community
Wow.
due to the density.
Wow.
So housing is the big issue, and I know many businesses like ourselves have lost their key team players.
So the
Uh,
people. So
yeah,
the talent is gone too.
a lot of talent. Yeah.
Oh boy.
And so small businesses like ourselves, we retained a core group of people, but we're going to need more.
Hmm.
Sure. In all industries, tourism, trade, banking,
So
like
is there a point of contact for somebody that is looking for work that could contribute and to the solution? Who would they contact there?
that is such a tough question.
Sorry.
It is. Um, we have an amazing employment officer here. Heidi is her name at our employment center. She is a very good connector. Like, there's people that are connectors. I would recommend the Employment Center, Community Futures at West Yellowhead, and the Chamber of Commerce
Okay.
as your points of contact.
And that's basically for anybody that is looking to just to contribute and or to find employment and to essentially help.
Yes, those would be the top three.
Well, it sounds like I was following a little bit of like just the different news feeds on when the I guess the ground zero moments were happening, and it sounded like the community was it was so tight, it was just tight knit, and like the mayor and the um the communication I thought was pretty good. Like people that were very clear and very just this is what's happening and the updates. Um, how are those folks doing now? Are they doing okay? Because I mean that's a lot. I mean for just to shoulder when you're the face of it, right? I was impressed by that and of course I mean I can't expect you to know entirely the intimate details of how they feel, but I guess in reflection I'm just sharing that that's sort of optically what I think people outside of the community were seeing. And they were doing a great job. And as anybody that's ever been through, it appeared to be, I should say, and it is as someone that's been through, like I say, I've been through pretty big flood there in the late '90s, the flood of the century in Manitoba. And Winnipeg it was something that stayed with me. Whenever I see somebody else in this kind of trouble,
Yeah.
whether regardless of it, like the hurricane hits down south, that displacement, that just, oh my Lord, what's happening? All the norms are gone. I empathize so greatly. So how are those people, and are they still actively involved?
So the key communicator for the municipality was Christine Nadon. She was one of the public faces
Yeah.
on the news a lot. She's my neighbor.
Oh
So
wow.
yes, her home is gone,
Uh,
and I see her frequently. She's an amazing neighbor and an amazing coffee customer, and she is. I'll give her just a huge shout out. She's a rock star. She went through that month of communicating, organizing, helping all the agencies come together, and she's missing her home, and we're
I bet.
missing her as a neighbor. It's very lonely here in our neighborhood.
Yeah, I wondered about that. Like, I guess, like,
Yeah.
because I mean, these people are displaced. They're either staying with someone else in the community or they're
Yeah.
not in the community at the moment.
Yeah. Lots of people are on the east end of town in the green zone.
Mm,
We're still in the red zone. And after the fire happened, the our local fire department, which is volunteer run, they there's just not enough you can say about what they did for the community. And so many of them lost their homes as well. They stayed to make sure the town was as safe as it could be. And we were lucky that they're our customers. We were able to support them
yeah,
uh, just for a place for them to be. And some of them have taken breaks and come back, which
yeah.
is very good. And we had the most, you know what, the province is set up well. So when our fire department wasn't at it, is exhausted, we had the Yellowhead County Fire Department come in to step in to protect our community while our team took a break.
Mm,
And so we really got to know that that team as well, so that they were totally backup for us
mm.
and came into Jasper. We could see them. They tried to get to know everybody. They were part of our daily routine, and they provided that backup support for our fire department to take a rest and to um, regroup.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, when you're going through that, it's everybody's running on adrenaline,
Hmm.
and adrenaline and bad diet and no sleep
Yeah.
and lack of hydration. Like,
Yeah.
oh my Lord. My heart goes out to all of the people involved on, I was hearing that, like how, you have first responders like that, firefighters that their house is gone, but they went to work today to go after it
Yeah.
still. Like that's some deep stuff, man. Like, wow,
Mhm.
that stuff hits you in the feels. If that doesn't get you, I don't know what the heck will. Uh,
Yeah.
well, it sounds to me like it's trending in new directions, but ultimately it is trending in the right way. Like in the way of you're gonna start to stand up if you haven't started already. I think you get what I mean by that.
I
Uh,
do.
and I mean, from there, you've got some sort of, I would think, some economic shifting with, you mentioned earlier, the rail is going to make a change. So that's like I did see a little on that. I can't speak to knowing a ton about that, and I just thought it would be maybe something to touch on here. From your perspective, how is that going to impact the community?
Jasper's been a rail town forever. That's, one of the reasons why we're here for industry wise. And my dad was a railroader. My brother's a railroader in Calgary. And the families here, they are such an integral part of our community. So they raise their children here. They're teachers, they're shopkeepers. And because we have a rule in National Park, in the Jasper National Park, if you don't have a need to reside here, you cannot rent here.
Right.
So many, a lot of our um, single railroaders, if they don't have a reason to live here due to working in town, that puts their residents at risk. And speaking in Hinton as well, there's just as in Jasper, quite a large housing shortage. So we're looking at a loss of community members, which sustain our economy, and that's would be a huge loss to Jasper, and it's part of our culture.
Yeah, it's a huge thing. It's a
Mhm.
rail yard, and I'm a train nerd. I In my office, in my studio, I have like a model thing. And I have CN as well represented.
There you go.
And I love trains. And part of my allure years ago, I don't remember if I shared a bit of my history. Back when I was touring, I used to do stand up. and I toured Canada, and I would come through Jasper a lot back in the day, and going from Prince George, like Vancouver to Prince George, across to Edmonton, what have you, yeah. And I always had my camera with me, and I loved that the rail yard was right across the street. I always thought that was the coolest. I just thought it was great. Even when we were out visiting recently, I was over there shooting. I just love it.
Yeah.
So when they say that they're moving the rail out, like they're closing the yard, like are they literally like what's the idea? What's the thinking here? What's how does this make sense?
I don't know all the details. I hear, of course, what people think about it, people that work for them. Hinton, they've been offered some land outside of Hinton to build a new yard, and we do have a big bunkhouse here, plus all the extra tracks. So I'm not sure. I imagine they would reduce the number of tracks because then we would just have pass-through traffic, except for Via,
Gotcha.
and and then the Rocky Mountaineer uses the Via line, I think. So I'm not sure what that would look like,
Okay.
and
Well, that might have been a
uh,
bigger question, like maybe an
huge.
unfair one because yeah, and I mean
Yeah,
I apologize for that, but it
that's
just seems like
okay.
it all ties in. Like it to me, I think the question was important as from my side of things, just as I dive deep here, like it seemed like a blow at a bad time. Like
It,
you were
yeah,
kind of on the mat on an 8 count, and then oh by the way, translate like what? Like
and
am I
it's,
right? Like is that the right perception?
it is. It
Okay.
felt it felt like, where did that come
Yeah,
from?
like, and why now?
Yeah, and so many
What?
people's their homes have been destroyed, and they're going to be in process of rebuilding their homes over the next 1 to 3 years. So what does that mean for them? Like, I
Yeah.
just can't imagine the turmoil that adds to an already difficult situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Seems
where?
insensitive.
Sorry, you were to say?
It's it seems very insensitive.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of what I'm getting at. Like,
Yeah.
um, with and as we get older, not to add emotion to it, but
Yeah.
it did seem a little like really ill-timed.
Mhm.
So, okay, let's move from that because, I think we've covered that ground well. I think the most important thing is, especially in disasters, like you think about how the world works and how economies work. Ultimately, it's cash flow. Now,
Mhm.
Jasper needs that from tourism again. I'm thinking that's probably the quintessential thing, and that'll keep the flow and keep the heartbeat. How can we help? Let's close on that. How does people help? Is there a way for people like is there any like are these stores operating online? Can people buy? Like is there shout outs we can give? What do you think about it?
Um, what I see is not everyone's open yet. So there's been there's still some trickling down repercussions. People are still cleaning their businesses, dealing
Wow,
with
okay.
insurance.
So
Uh,
it's early. It's early to talk like that.
it is a little bit
Okay.
early, but this weekend coming up, the Ski Hill opens. It's Moonlight Madness, which is a shop local initiative for the weekend.
Okay.
And when people come to see us, we love it. Like we love it. And when they say, we're so happy you're here,
Mhm.
or I'm really glad to get this cup of coffee today, or where else should I go visit? All of us in downtown Jasper will welcome those questions and send you on to the next local business. So it's a little bit smaller
Mhm.
and it's a little more effort. I've noticed people are unsure if they should be walking down the street because they see
Sure.
the barriers or the building that's being taken down right now.
Sure.
So it's going to take a little bit of perseverance
Okay.
as a visitor to seek out those experiences.
Since this took place, all I've been thinking about is ways to help. And like, I wonder if there's an appetite for like a concert. Like, do you remember back in the day, the 90s? the hip would do roadside attractions.
Yeah.
Like, is there a space there? Is there something? Maybe I'm spitballing here and I'm out of line, but I'm thinking about bigger ways that could help the community, sustainability, more of a, a longer term. Because I mean, if you're saying that a lot of it is still, um, there's still businesses cleaning up, then I almost feel bad now for asking that question because I wasn't aware of that. I misunderstood. I thought things might have been for the businesses that were standing, things would be further ahead. So I guess really my question is more about within the year. I would think things by spring, summer, things should really start to kick up. Is that a
Right.
better way to look at it?
It is, that is a good, accurate point of view of that. Um, and I think if there's any way, like if people are coming to visit, there's so much to see. The landscape looks so different. We can see the nuances in the mountain and the valleys. And
Hmm.
I think people will be really interested to watch the change over time. And if people can come at the beginning,
Yes.
before the spring hits, it's going to be green and beautiful for fireweed. But right now, it's kind of stark and a little.
It would be great for some black and white photography.
Yeah, absolutely. So that, we are going to need
Hmm.
people to visit now. Summer will naturally be busy. And then into the fall again, we'll need that shoulder season support. And I know we're going to be building on our Dark Sky Festival. We, are in our talking about music, like we have the best folk fest. It's been around for I don't know how many years, at least 20 years. And they have struggled because of COVID. Then we had the Chettaman fire, which happened right around the time that they were supposed to have their folk fest. Then did we have it? I can't remember if we had it last year. And this year's was canceled. So there's a real, and that is usually happens on the September long weekend or just after the long weekend.
Right.
And that is something that the community is missing greatly.
Huh.
Like, so I bet there's would be some support that they could use because it's totally volunteer run.
Wow.
They get a little bit of funding from Alberta Foundation of the Arts, but mostly it's a community driven organization. And
Hmm.
they don't, they're very humble group who does great things. And they're probably not thinking about it yet, but next year I'm sure they would
Yeah.
appreciate a great boost.
Huh. That is amazing. One thing I've learned here today is, as we come to a close, I'm so glad. I want you to know that we've connected like this, and I'm so proud to have you on what I'm trying to accomplish here. This Popular Views thing, I think, has got it's got tooth. I think we can do something with this, and it is like what's the most important stuff in life, right? Is conversation, right?
Mhm.
This is when we really start to learn, and when we can empathize with one another, when uh, we can really get to know where a person stands. Because today, I feel like that all of this is forgotten, and we just jump to the immediate satisfaction, which is also applies to opinion.
Yeah.
And we're missing this in modern media, and I'm proud to provide it. And when I get to have a community member like yourself in the Jasper area, and now that what I've learned about you in this conversation is, it's empowering, inspiring. Please, if you could send that to everyone in your circle, like just the resilience of the Jasper community. I'm going to speak to this more. I'm going to put this together, and I hope people watch it, and I hope people get to know Shelley, and I hope they come to Andromeda. Um, and ironically, it would be you that has the coffee. So back home, whenever the what hit the fan,
Yeah.
I remember. around the table. My people are my father's English, but my mother's Slavic and like Ukrainian Polish mixed family. So I've got these really weird roots, and but the table was always where the problems were discussed and ruled on and solved, and it
Yeah.
was over coffee.
Yeah.
So I find it no surprise that it's you sitting there serving the coffee. Shelley, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming on the show today. I hope you come again. I hope you come and tell us some success stories, and we can do an update maybe in the spring. I know we'll stay in touch. I have a feeling I'm going to find a way to come for a visit. Even if I have to come myself, I'm going to come for a few days because I really have been itching to come and shoot, and not for a looky-loo
Yeah.
sort of thing, but for what you said, because I know that topography is going to be different, and that's important to the photography side of Tim. So thanks again for coming. Any last thoughts, any last shout outs? You got the floor before we say goodbye.
It's been an absolute pleasure to meet with you and talk with you. And I'm grateful for coffee too. It allows me to meet people like yourself and to bring our community back. So I look forward to seeing this and sharing it with my friends, Tim. Thank you.
Wonderful. I can't wait to have you on again. All the best, and maybe we'll see you soon. Thanks again,
Okay.
Shelley.
Sounds good. Thank you, Tim.